Our next speaker is an activist of huge experience. She used to be a journalist for The Guardian. She's now the leader of the Green Party. We're very glad to have her. Please give a warm welcome to Natalie Bennett. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and it's lovely to see this hall so full. On the 10th anniversary of that absolutely enormous demonstration where the British people took to the streets, we can look back and say, we knew at the time they were right, but history has absolutely, definitively, utterly proved them that they were right. They were right to say no to this war on terror, no to going into Iraq. And the thing that we also know is that after a decade of this hideous, inhumane so-called war on terror, the British people are still overwhelmingly opposed to this war, this continuing, ongoing Iraq, Afghanistan, and now it's Mali war that just goes on and on. I speak to groups up and down the country. I was in Bournemouth yesterday, I got back this morning. I've been up to York, I've been down everywhere you can think of. And I speak to all sorts of different groups. I speak to youth groups, I speak to pensioner groups, and one of the things that I get the strongest reaction to is when I say, we must pull the troops out of Afghanistan now. And that's something that there's just clear, absolute public support, understanding, and we know that the people are right. The people understand. What we've got to do is just get those politicians to get their head around it. And as we've just been hearing from Andrew, there's real progress being made in some areas, and we can make progress on that. But what I wanted to do today was particularly look about some things to celebrate. Sometimes this feels like an endless slog. You know, we think we can see an end at least to the troops in Afghanistan, and then we're off next they are into Mali. Have you ever seen a mission creep quite so fast? We went from one day, it's just going to be a plane. About 3 days later, it's just going to be a couple of hundred troops on the ground. It just seems to get faster and faster. So rather than look at that as a negative, I'm going to seek out three positive things in our struggle for peace that are going on. And I've been told I only have 5 minutes, and I am actually going to try and stick to that. So it's pretty short. First of all, we can celebrate everyone in this room, all the work you're doing, all the work your friends and work colleagues and colleagues in movements are doing up and down the country. But there's also one person I think we should particularly celebrate in particular, and that's a 14-year-old Afghan girl, Malala. We can all celebrate the fact that she came out of hospital this week after another major operation, a girl who was standing up for human rights in Afghanistan, and I'm very pleased to say, who's been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, I'm really pleased that our two Green MEPs, Keith Taylor and Jean Lambert, were the people doing that, a whole cross-party group of MEPs from all across Europe nominated for that. And I hope, given some of the really, really strange Nobel Peace Prizes we've seen recently, that this year we're going to have something to really celebrate. So, you know, let's really cross our fingers for that one, and I think there's a really decent chance of it. The second highlight where I think we're making real progress I wanted to focus on is trident nuclear weapons. It's a bit glass half full, glass half empty. But the fact is, I think there's a really strong movement, a really strong desire, and if you look at the surveys, a really strong belief that we need to get rid of trident nuclear missiles and we need to not replace them. And the thing is, and sometimes it might put you in uncomfortable places, some of the people who aren't exactly our natural allies, people who we wouldn't sit comfortably with on practically any other area, they're saying, just look at all that money and know we shouldn't be spending the money. And if we can win them over on that ground, let's win them to the campaign, because what we need to do is win the argument and win the fight and stop having trident nuclear missiles. And what I'd like to say, I hope I will get the chance one day, if I'm standing with Ed Miliband and David Cameron, is to say to them, you either have or could have your finger on a nuclear button. under what circumstances could you actually imagine firing a Trident nuclear weapon? I cannot imagine any circumstances in which a sane British Prime Minister should do that. So why does Britain have those weapons of mass destruction? There is no reason to have those weapons of mass destruction. And finally, another glass half full, glass half empty thing, but drone strikes. We're seeing in so many countries around the world millions of people who are simply living in fear. They have no idea when, out of a clear blue sky or out of a dark night sky, death might just rain down on them, the men, the women, the children, in some village somewhere that has no idea why, that has no idea what's going on, but just knows that death can come out of the sky at any time. But what we're seeing is a really strong push and some really good questions being asked about international law, about the actual legality of what's being done. Some of the questioning that's being done in America is all focused on, but are we allowed to kill American citizens? That, of course, is, are you allowed to kill any citizens is what the question should be. But again, questions are being asked even in the US Congress. And that's a positive. And that's something I think we can really work on, really fight on, really say that no one should be living thinking, will I wake up tomorrow morning, is my house just going to be bombed to oblivion with me having no idea what's going on or why. We absolutely must fight and push and struggle on drone strikes and really highlight the utter inhumanity of them. So here we are. It's an anniversary to celebrate. It's 10 years to look back on and regret. It's both of these things. But what we can do is use this anniversary to renew our determination to end the war on terror, to stop our incursions all around the world. It's time to save lives, to build up civil societies and democracies, support people who are working for peace. We can do it, you're doing it, millions of others are doing it. The Green Party is with you. Anything we can do to support you, just let us know. We can stop the war. Let's take that message away. Thank you.